And today, let's talk about how Tommy and Tariq will ultimately link up and what is likely to be the next spinoff after Ghost and Force is over. Now, what will have to happen to make Tommy join Tariq after declining his request to join him in the war against Noma? This is not my war, is what Tommy told Tariq the last time he saw him. But there is an even greater war looming ahead that both Tommy and Tariq started together years ago. And that is the war with the mob that was started the moment Tariq helped Tommy kill Joe Proctor. And with Aunt Dolores said to make a splash in season 3 of Force, and with the drug lord Mahoney being mentioned but still not being seen within the Power universe yet, an alliance made between the two factions will be the only enemy with enough influence and power to be a big enough threat that will make Uncle Tommy feel the worst for his nephew Tariq, thus making him leave Chicago to be Tariq's aide. I will explain how this alliance between Dolores and the as of yet unseen character of Mahoney may cross paths and team up, and exactly why Mahoney will want Tariq's head, as well as why he has already subtly been implied to be richer and more powerful and more dangerous than Noma and Mecca. And we need to talk about this right now. This video is going to be another banger, so go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel so y'all can get this fire every day, because this is where you will get the wildest, most creative, and entertaining power theories on the World Wide Web. Also, if you're a power fan or power theory creator, I'm looking to collaborate with all of you in future videos. I'd also love to get you guys on the weekly lives that I do 3 times a week, where we can recap the episodes together and talk everything power. Now, if you want to be a part of that, email me at n.almighty1991@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram at Nate_almighty_GDA. And also, for an affordable price, I'll help any one of you guys get your own channel started. I'll tell you what you need to know to get it monetized. Now, without further ado, let's get to it. All right, now, people, let's break it down like this. Now, let's think big, y'all. In a recent interview, Michael Rainey Jr. said he knew season 4 would be the final season of Book 2 Ghost, after claiming he had no idea about it when the news first broke out. Therefore, we know that we can't believe nothing he says about what's going to happen with Tariq from this moment on. He's an actor. Let's never forget that. At the same time, Joseph Sikora said Tommy is done with Chicago, but his journey will continue. They probably put that information out because they want to maximize on the ratings the season will have. And here is the thing we must know, or at least assume, before we discuss the Aunt Dolores and Mahoney possible or inevitable connection. I highly doubt that Tariq and Tommy will start new power spinoffs separate from each other, especially since we all know stars ain't rushing to pay nobody a damn thing. So if they are dropping that bag again, it would not be for the same 2 kind of shows they already gave us. And they have to know that bringing Tariq and Tommy back together, plus with the possibility of Ghost being around, will definitely maximize profits and ratings. But this is an ongoing story that will have to be intricately woven together between both Ghost and Force in order to make this new spinoff make sense. So between what we're seeing now in Ghost, and more importantly, what we will see with Tommy and Force, or more importantly, probably towards the end of Force, because the Force timeline is months behind Ghost, they will show us a major moment that connects Tommy with Tariq, letting us know that for whatever reason, they will be forced to reunite. And this is where Aunt Dolores and Mahoney comes in. Dolores is already confirmed to make an appearance in the new season of Force. So you better believe Elisa Marie will be around as well. I have not seen the actress who plays Elisa Marie on any show or any movie that matters since we last seen her in OG Power. She's someone who definitely has the time to do a Power spinoff. And remember, she was told Tariq helped kill her dad. So we can expect Aunt Dolores to come for Tommy, of course, in Force, but also she will want Tariq's head as well after finding out he's still moving around in the streets freely after participating in the murder of her brother. And now this is where Mahoney comes in. There has to be some kind of final boss level character or some sort of series alliance that is so much of a threat that Tommy realizes he must go save his nephew in what will be the final spin-off to end all spin-offs for Tariq and Tommy and possibly Ghost. This spin-off will be the final spin-off that we see any of these guys, okay? Okay? And Tommy will realize he must go save his nephew after realizing this threat is so severe. And he's likely to have D-Mac and Maria with him. This threat may even cause Tommy to have to relocate his own brother and mom, Kate Egan, before he even goes to Tariq in New York City. And that's if the spinoff will take place in New York City. I, for one, think the spinoff will be in a different location from New York City, hence why I said Cali in the previous video, because the threat they all have will likely have a lot of power in New York City. Now, Tommy is tough. If the mob by themselves, right, was after him only in Chicago, he would fight to the death and never have to involve himself with Tariq at all. But Dolores and the mob already weren't enough for Tommy way back in OG Power. We all know this. Thus, we will see Dolores make a major alliance and realize that she has to make a major alliance with somebody who has enough power to make Tommy worried about Tariq's life. And Dolores is the only connection that will make Tommy consider it his own fault if something happened to Tariq, because it was him who got Tariq involved with Proctor's murder in the first place. And since Noma is formidable, and Mahoney is still alive within the Power universe somewhere, we should have enough evidence to assume that Mahoney is likely even more dangerous and formidable. We just may find out that Mahoney is actually from Chicago or something like that. This alliance will be and will have to be big. And Tommy will realize how serious it is. On the Getting It How I Live channel, he mentioned the jewelry store robbery that Kanan and Braden had done for Mecca. The jewelry store is owned by Mahoney himself. And I'm just not going for the whole Mahoney would never show up. He was just a plot device for season 2. Power shows us that people who are mentioned prematurely and ahead of time usually tend to pop up at some time in the most random circumstances. But like I said, Kane and Braden robbed Mahoney's store, and they have Braden's face on camera. And just like Getting It How I Live said, they will likely assume the person robbing the store with Braden to be not Kane Tejada, but Tariq St. Patrick. Meaning that Mahoney possibly already has Tariq within his eye shot and is just waiting on an opportunity to do what needs to be done. And now listen, someone who owns a jewelry store and is a rival drug lord of Noma and Mecca, is someone who likely owns more jewelry stores and is very powerful and has many connections and is likely not black. And I say this for two reasons. For one, Dolores is in the mob. They usually don't get too involved with black people, especially romantically, okay? This is not a Bronx love story. A Bronx tale. And if love isn't involved, I don't see Dolores having the money to pay any regular black drug lord, and these people will be above her in rank to go after both Tommy and Tariq. They don't have that kind of money or power. We were never showed they had even an inkling of having that kind of pull on their own. And for two, to have even one or multiple jewelry stores, you have to have connections to an exclusive set of people and organizations and places that even ghosts would not be allowed into. So we can bet that Mahoney would be of a European descent or some other kind of foreign. And fairly old and dangerous, thus making him the perfect fit for Aunt Dolores, who is an old fossil as well. For all we know, she could have been giving up on Tommy, assuming he died in New York, until her connections in the feds, maybe even Jenny Sullivan, let her know Tommy is still around. Another thing about Mahoney is this: he's richer than Mecca and Noma. That's why Mecca wanted to rob him. And that's why they still haven't been able to kill him, because they're not powerful enough to reach him. He is more dangerous and has more money, making him the biggest threat Tommy and Tariq has ever had to deal with. Tommy is going to be ran out of Chicago. Walter Flynn's brother was mentioned by the kids in season 2. He will go after Tommy. CBI will turn on Tommy. The feds will look after Tommy. Look for Tommy. We are likely to even see Dolores and Mahoney team up with the enemies of Tommy. As in, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Now, this theory right here is a theory that you're not going to hear from anyone else. So mark my words, this is the first time you will be hearing any theory of this sort. I will explain now how Elisa Marie will enter this story. She will enter Tariq's story in his spinoff, how this can/will happen, and I also will explain how she will end up falling for Braden. Braden will end up falling for her as well, and all the complications that will come from this, because ultimately Elisa Marie will make the decision to either just kill Tariq and still have love for Tommy, or she could end up choosing to want to kill Tommy and Tariq. I'm going to explain how she could end up getting involved with people like Effie Morales. I'm going to explain how she could be involved in drugs. I'm going to explain how she just may enter Tariq's school as a freshman while Tariq is on his way out, and all the complications that come with her getting involved with Braden, how the perfect scenario will be created for her to run into Braden, and it will be Tariq who unintentionally gets them to meet each other. This is going to be another banger. Without further ado, let's get to it, y'all. So, first let's talk about how Elisa Marie can and will enter this story, okay? She could be a freshman during Tariq's final year. I know we all thought that Tariq was going to graduate, or he at least may graduate, or at least definitively drop out. Being that we've all seen the end of this series, we know that Tariq definitely did not say that he had any intentions on dropping out of school. And with him being 21 years old, and with him being or attempting to be a major drug lord, the biggest drug dealer in New York City, it will be smart for him to ultimately decide to remain in school because it's the perfect alibi. Because if any police are looking at him, they're gonna wonder, who is Tariq? Where is he getting his money from? He's going to need a cover. He's going to need to be able to hide behind some kind of other identity. And the best thing for him to do is say, I'm going to be in school. And another aspect of this school thing is that Tariq's going to be busy. He's going to have to do things. So he ultimately may have to stay in school a little bit longer, right? A little bit longer. And he can simply use the money that he's making from drugs in order to remain in school. That will mean that Elisa Marie will be around 18 and she will be able, if the writers want it that way, to enter the school as a freshman. She will ultimately run into Tariq. And mind you, this is the angle if she's in Stansfield, because I'm going to get into how course perfect and she could end up running into Tariq and Braden intentionally or unintentionally if she involves herself with drugs and still goes to an Ivy League school. We all must remember that Joe Proctor was a very intelligent man. Joe Proctor's baby mama was a very intelligent woman who just happened to be a cokehead. So we have to know that Elisa Marie will be very intelligent and she will be attending a very prestigious school in some kind of way. And it's very easy to make these plots connect. Now, if they don't go the Stansfield route with her being a freshman and running into Tariq in school, right? The other way that this could take now, we're going to take the Effie route. She could end up befriending Effie through Course Perfect, even if she still is in school. They can end up being friends. Effie can see her as valuable. She could not know that Effie is working with Tariq. She could bring Tariq, and that's when they first realized that, oh shit, we go to the same school. That's that effort. This still can count for the Stansfield plotline, right? But we now have to talk about her maybe even being a love interest of Braden, which actually could fit. This would not be wild at all, okay? If Elisa Marie is a freshman, because she probably is not any more than 2 years younger than Tariq, 3 years max, so it's perfect. Tariq is currently 20, okay? Even if they give us a time skip, Tariq could be 21 going on 22. Maybe he had to make up some time because he had to miss time out of school for whatever reason, okay? They can still all meet each other around the same time because Elisa Marie is no more than 3 years younger than Tariq and Braden, but probably only 2. Probably only 2, okay? All these introductions would be better than her directly going after Tariq because that's for bad TV. That's something that most people would expect. They have to give us something else to sink our teeth into, okay? The angle Elisa Marie can take to get back at Tariq as part of a larger plan, she may just go for Tariq, since she may choose to blame Tariq for Proctor's death, understanding at an older age now that, okay, my father died because Tariq is the person who opened the door for my father to be killed. He took me and he kept me away from my dad in order for Tommy to do whatever he did, right? Initially, we're going to speak on how Elisa Marie comes into the story and how all of this plot develops as we further get into the Braden plotline, which I feel like will be the biggest way and the strongest way where they can tie everyone in together. And when I mean tie everyone in together, I mean she could fall for Braden, Braden falls for her. There's conflict because Tariq is going to be like, we can't trust the bitch, you got to get rid of her. That gives us a similar situation to the Tommy and Holly debacle with Ghost, and then you have Tommy in the background who Elisa Marie may want to kill, may not want to kill, but then that gives us an extra reason for Tommy to run into Elisa Marie again, deal with Tariq, and also to bring Braden into the fold and have everyone together, right? Because Elisa Marie will definitely be smart. She could also become a competitor within the online drug game. Now, this is what we're talking about with Course Perfect and everything. Just because Effie can make something like Course Perfect, that does not mean someone like Elisa Marie or someone else in the Ivy League school can't do it as well, right? This will initially hurt Tariq's pockets, forcing Tariq to come out, so an attempt can be made on Tariq's life. Even if Elisa Marie attends a different school now, she will likely be in the same situation as Braden was, where she wants to make her own money and set a name for herself apart from the mob, okay? She could end up locking down whatever other school Tariq and his team have already been eating off of through Course Perfect, right? This will hurt Tariq's pockets, like I said, even before they know who Elisa Marie is, okay? They won't even know Elisa Marie is there, and she could still be a freshman just getting in her first year, and within months she turning up because she's smart. And she also have access to the money and probably the product to get these things done. Tariq, being a guy in the man's world, in the man's sport, will assume there is some guy messing up his business in whatever school it was, right? And he will initially send Braden to deal with him. Only for Braden to find out that Elisa Marie is the leader of the business. Because Braden has a soft spot for women, we all know he's a simp. We also know that the woman who played the character of Elisa Marie, she is grown now, and she is, of course, very beautiful, right? He would offer to do business with her on behalf of Tariq, thus bringing her into the story without him even knowing Tariq and Elisa Marie's history. So we can have that oh shit moment when they enter the same room, right? We know that Braden, even though he messes up, even though he's on drugs right now, he still has a smart mind for the business. He will think it's smarter he will see the value in Elisa Marie not only being his woman in the future, but also her being alive and the fact that she can contribute to the business, making their business bigger. He will see an angle where his team can benefit from her and whatever team she got can benefit from them, and they can all bring it together. That's how he will view it before he introduces Elisa Marie to Tariq and they find out that they are now back in each other's lives, right? They're destined to deal with each other again, right? And the plot against Tariq could start from there. Maybe even with Braden and Elisa Marie falling for each other, like I said, with Braden becoming her first lover. This is what I'm predicting. I'm predicting that Elisa Marie will lose her virginity to Braden as well. And Elisa Marie will be the woman who actually stays with Braden, because when you think about it and everything that's going on, you think about both of their backgrounds, when you think about the 3 previous women that Braden had, when you consider who Elisa Marie will become as a character or can become as a character, she kind of is the perfect fit for Braden, okay? And thus, Braden will get closer to Dolores and the mob as they see that Braden is serious about her, and he'll catch a couple bodies for her and protect her, right? He can later be offered a chance to join the mob as a new family member, okay? And of course, in order to add on to the drama, they will say, you gotta kill Tariq, or you gotta kill Tommy. Help us find out where Tommy is at. One or the other. We need one or the other. He will likely say, I'll give y'all Tommy because I don't know Tommy, but y'all can't have Tariq. Some variation of that, right? Elisa Marie could also just decide that she wants both Tommy and Tariq to die. And that ultimately, I want to be a mob boss one day. I want to be my own boss. they're not going to take me serious unless I get this done. With her playing nice with Tariq until she can get the chance to find out where Tommy is, and then we'll orchestrate a plan to kill them both together. Let's talk about the other plot twist that can come from this, all right? Elisa Marie just may grow to like Tariq, understanding Tariq was a kid and never wanted Joe Proctor dead, but he did owe Tommy a favor and couldn't refuse. Ultimately, with her deciding that, okay, you didn't intend on having my father killed, you didn't necessarily want my father killed, we were both just kids wrapped up in this. You were older than me, but we were both just kids, okay? Also, on Dolores or another powerful person in the mob may want Tariq and Tommy dead in revenge for Joe Proctor, of course, but Elisa Marie chooses to save them after first initially agreeing to get them dead and gone, okay? Elisa Marie could choose to let Tariq live because Braden will request it and because they are in love. And then she would just go after Tommy in the future, and we may see this thing where behind the scenes, behind Tariq's back, Braden and Elisa Marie are planning to deal with Tommy, and Tariq is just not knowing. Now, of course, this secret will get out in the future, but if we go a couple seasons with that being a behind Tariq's back plot twist, that will be good TV, okay? That will be good TV. Now, one thing I want to say as I end this video is that it's hard to tell if Elisa Marie will be around for the entire series as an ally to Tariq all the way to the end and a permanent guest, because Tariq still played a part in her father's death. So right now, I think that Elisa Marie could be around for 2-3 seasons, and then something may happen. She could end up leaving Braden, going somewhere else. She could end up dying. I wouldn't want to see her die. I think that if the character who played her has the time to do it and they really want to fully flesh out her character and really develop, they can really make this thing a real thing, especially since we know Tommy only has one more season in Chicago and he's going somewhere else. We also know Tariq is going to have a spinoff. There's a lot of things they can do, and they can ultimately have Tommy die by the hands of Elisa Marie, right? We can even, I believe it would be fitting for Tommy to die by the hands of Elisa Marie. Who the hell is RSJ? Where did he come from? Why is he so fond of ghosts? Where is he now? What are your thoughts? Further expound on what you were going to say, bro.
Okay, so for his RSJ, it's also a theory that he could be that brother as well.
Yes, I come across that.
And it's crazy because, if you pay attention from season 3, and now obviously season 4 as well, you got so many people coming from that European region. And if you pay attention, St. Patrick is an Irish name, which also comes from that particular area. So I think it's possible is that RSJ could be related to him on his mom's side.
Okay.
From the European area. And I think the reason why he's not showing up as of now is two different reasons. It could be because they're going to show him at the very end, and he's going to have a big part to play at the very end of this season. Or another one that I actually made a video about, I think it's possible they may be reviving the influence one that they was originally planning to do.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention. All of the major influencers that's in power, and major influencers, public figures, or people in the law enforcement,
they have not been around.
They're not in this season.
None of them. So that's Steve Ott, that's Stern, that's RSJ. We know Tate is briefly gonna pop up.
Right. Tate's been out of it.
RSJ's been gone.
Blanca's been gone. She came one episode.
Blanca been gone. Yup. I think there could be something to that. I mean, shit. If they make Influence, I'm gonna watch it. I think everybody gonna check it out.
And when it first when they first came out with all the spin-outs, I ain't gonna lie, I was shitting on them. The other one I was interested in was Tommy one. That's all.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of thinking the same way, but now that we've gotten some more power, and I'm thinking about the way these things can connect, and I'm thinking about where they could take it. There's still a lot we don't know about Rashad Tate, about his past that we could get into. There's just still a lot we don't know. We don't know if Ramona could pop up in the Tate spinoff, because she would be involved too. And if she pops up, then oh boy, oh boy, Ghost is gonna be behind her in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so RSJ, he pulled a Russell Simmons. He got accused of some shit. He left the country. We don't know where he at. But we know he could possibly return. I think he will. I mean, what's the point in having him? Nothing really happened. Tariq still owing money. You know what I mean? Was he going to be the first person in power history to be owed money and not come back to get it?
Nah, that nigga he gonna definitely come back for that money. Even if he become a villain for like the next spin-out, that nigga gonna come back.
He gonna come back, man. Because even if he's a billionaire, he lost millions of dollars messing around with Tariq and the Westerns.
But I agree with Universal Power's page that it seems as if RSJ knew it was a Ponzi scheme already.
Because he seems a little bit too bright to allow himself to get caught up in this.
Yeah.
Like, he would have had some kind of resources to find out who these people really are. So there's another thing. If RSJ is not related to Ghost, he could still be somebody who had intentions to entrap Tariq from the get-go for whatever reason. For whatever reason, he wanted to entrap Tariq. Because if he knew it was a Ponzi scheme, then he had full intentions on entrapping Tariq. Ladies, it's your man, Nate Almighty. Shout out to the GPA, the Global Power Ambassadors. This video right here, I will explain how and why Mahoney will go after Braden in the new spinoff. Now, I know there has been similar videos made to this topic, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into depth of where this direction is going to be taken by the writers, as I will explain why Mahoney as a character is still relevant, because I know we have the naysayers that say Mahoney is not a real character. 2, I will explain how he will enter the story. 3, I will explain the many plot twists and directions the writers can and will take with this character and how it affects Tariq and Braden. And the reason why I'm going to explain it in that way is because, yes, I'm saying that Mahoney will initially go after Braden, but that does not mean that he will not end up finding a reason to keep Braden alive. It's not just so black and white as if Mahoney will come after Braden, Tariq will find out, he will come save Braden by killing Mahoney. It's not that simple. And lastly, we will discuss just where Mahoney has been all of this time. Now, the inspiration for this video was given to me by a loyal subscriber by the name of DeMarcus Vaughn, who frequently comments on my videos. I appreciate it, brother. I decided to take his idea and then put my own twist on it. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let's get to it. Okay, so Mahoney was mentioned by Mecca, and it may seem like he was just a random person brought up in order to move the plot along. But the writers took the time to also indirectly tell us not only that Mahoney is an enemy, but he's a formidable enemy. Because even before Noma came along, Mahoney was Mecca's op, which means he was Noma's op and competitor. And if he was, it means he was playing with just as much money. right? And maybe even more. Proof of that has already been hinted because Mahoney owns things like jewelry stores and many, many stash spots, and probably owns a chain of jewelry stores, meaning his net worth is at least in the 100 millions. And Braden did not cover his face during the robbery, as we all know. We also know that we knew that Braden was going to end up being a psychopath when he pointed the gun at the worker of Mahoney, presumably, and he pulled the trigger, even though it was on safety, right? We know this. But, like I said, Braden did not cover his face during the robbery. Kane will be gone. So, especially if Mahoney is a little bit racist, Mahoney will most likely assume Tariq is the partner during that robbery, which definitely was caught on camera. And I'm going to further explain why he will assume that it was Tariq. Meaning, there's a reason why he is going to automatically view Tariq as his partner, because the way that they're going to meet up isn't going to be as direct as a lot of people may assume, right? Let's talk about now how he can and will enter the story, okay? I believe he will enter the story in a Malone kind of way, but in a way that we're still not going to expect. So, it's not going to be somebody who's doing security detail or something of the sort like Malone did, right? But he will enter covertly in some kind of way. Now, let me explain how and why and what kind of individual and character we can expect this Mahoney guy to be, okay? He will enter in a Malone type of way where he will be gathering intel on Tariq's organization before he strikes, as he attempts to covertly, completely overthrow and take over Tariq's organization as what would be a death blow to Noma's entire organization that has to do with Chinadu and all of her family. I think he wants to completely pulverize them and get rid of their whole bloodline. We will find out that they have a long history of smoke. Okay? Mahoney will be doing things like ruining business plans, sabotaging events, right? Because somehow, some way, he will be someone that's privy to this information. He will be around, but will not be taken as a threat. Or somebody working under him will be around and not taken as a threat. For example, when it comes to Malone and how Malone was around, we may actually see a woman come around that will initially look like someone of value to Tariq's organization, but come to find out she's Mahoney's wife or daughter or niece, right? Even more can be done if she just so happens to be around Tariq and Braden's age. And I will connect all of this, right? But like I said, doing things like that, they will be able to sabotage events. They'll be doing their own robberies, finding out where certain stash spots is at, and Tariq is going to be like, yo, who robbed the stash spot? What the hell is going on, right? Right? Learning who Tariq's enemies are and his competitors and empowering them. Mahoney will likely be a high intellectual and will choose to continue to move in the shadows while also hiding in plain sight. Now let's talk about some of the plot twists that will happen with Braden, because I only believe that Mahoney's entrance officially into the story is through him looking out for Braden. But let's discuss the different ways that these plots will take, the different ways this story will go as we get to know who Mahoney is, because we got to understand that Mahoney is going to be a businessman first and foremost, right? So ultimately, well, let's just get to it, right? He could initially want to kill Braden, but after watching him work, realizes that he actually likes how Braden thinks and wants Braden to work for him. This will happen at a time where Tariq and Braden are at odds within the organization. As we already know, Braden has this plight where he doesn't want to be a subordinate, he wants to be the man, right? He doesn't mind being Tariq's number 2, but he wants to be valued and treated as an equal and not an underling. So we're going to see that kind of struggle, at least during the first 2 seasons of this spinoff, right? So Mahoney, who will have by this point decided, okay, I don't want to necessarily kill Braden. I've got my intel. I see that there's a wedge between Tariq and Braden, but I also see that Braden is worth more to me alive because he has a brighter mind and more talent of getting the work sold and getting things done, right? Than people who may already work for him. He will offer Braden a higher position than he currently or at that time has with Tariq. But of course, what will Braden have to do in order to gain this high position with all this money and all this clout, right? Where he will feel equal or greater to Tariq. He will have to kill Tariq. Y'all know, Braden will maybe contemplate it. We may see a standoff. We may even have Tariq and Braden shoot at each other. I believe that day is definitely going to come. But no matter what, Braden will ultimately choose to save Tariq's life again. I believe when it's all said and done, of course, they will unite and they will just kill Mahoney. Ultimately, you got to understand where it's going to go. Tariq and Braden are not going to want to be under the scrutiny of someone named Mahoney or anyone that got to do with Noma's family. Ultimately, they're going to decide that we want to be bigger and more powerful than all these people, and we have to move them off the chessboard, and that will happen by them killing them. That's ultimately the conclusion that Tariq and Braden are going to come to together. Of course, we have to expect that. You know what I'm saying? This is power. We know it's going to go that way, right? And now to end this video, let's talk about where exactly Mahoney has been the whole time. And this answer is very simple. Doing business outside of New York City, or at least outside of the territory that Tariq and Noma's people operated, because it's too hot. I think Mahoney is going to be someone who's highly intellectual, and he's going to be someone who found it disadvantageous to try to infringe on whatever territory Noma had in New York City, knowing that it's hot. There's a lot going on. He probably already has begun to understand who Tariq is. He probably had moles within Noma's organization already. He's basically on some, yo, this is hot. I'm not dealing with this. He's going to be somebody who's very much covert. Someone who you're not going to expect to be as deadly as he is when you look at him. Like /Power Book 2 Ghost /Power Book 4 Force theory video, and we're going to tie all of this in together. And the topic of this video is Mahoney is the biggest threat in power and will force Ghost out of hiding. And you have to stick to the end of this video as I discuss some bulletin points of who Mahoney may be, what his connection to Ghost may be, and what he would have to do and what he will probably do in order to draw Ghost out of hiding. So, let's start here. Disclaimer: I know the producers may not have thought about a character like Mahoney and how the spin-offs tied together. But after the first season of Power success, I do believe that they then started brainstorming on not only spin-offs, but how to tie this whole story in together before they complete the entire Power universe, which will have to be completed one day, even if it's 10 years from now, right? So without further ado, now let's get into who Mahoney may be. Now, Mahoney's name being mentioned is not a fluke. We will definitely see him again, and it will be a jaw-dropping moment. Ghost may have known he was coming and faked his death in order to figure out how to kill him. Also, Mecca is the goat of global snitching and still wasn't able to bring him down, and neither was Noma. He is still their biggest op behind the scenes, right? Mahoney will probably be a white man with power at the highest levels of government, which would explain why it's so hard to take him down. He has eyes and connections everywhere. And now, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. You tie Ghost into the situation. A question that could be questioned is, did Ghost know about Mahoney before he started rising to the top of politics? Did Ghost find out about Mahoney while he was rising up in politics? Also, Ghost being Ghost, we also got to question the possibility of Stephen Ott being involved, and we also got to question, is it possible that people like Stephen Ott and other people behind the scenes knew who Mahoney was, and they have Ghost fake his death so they can work on trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Neutralize Mahoney. It's possible that Mahoney is a political figure that goes by another name in public. This is very much a possibility. Mahoney will be an unyet seen face that will be revealed in the future. And Ghost could be hiding from him. Ghost could be planning to take care of Mahoney either by himself or with the help of the Democratic Party. Now, let's go into why Ghost could have issues with Mahoney, okay? Ghost could have killed a top earner or a loved one of Mahoney, or for whatever reason, his very existence and impact on the game influenced Mahoney in a negative way. Now let's talk about how he will be able to bring Ghost out of hiding, okay? 1, by kidnapping Yaz, which will most certainly guarantee his eventual death. Ghost don't care about nobody more than he cares about Yaz. So much to the point where he had a contingency plan, where he expected Tasha to be gone, right? Killed by Tommy. So Yaz would be able to be adopted by a good family in which he predetermined who that family would be. And the fact that Tommy did not kill Tasha probably is going to upset Ghost, right? But number 2, Mahoney could bring Ghost out by kidnapping Ramona, because if he's still alive, he's with Ramona, and forcing him to work for him, which will cause him to re-enter the game against his own will. Okay? Number 3, Mahoney could force Ghost out of hiding by working with Tariq in any way. If Ghost in fact does have smoke with Mahoney, and Mahoney has any kind of motive to bring Ghost out of hiding, to either force Ghost to work for him instead of Tariq, or because he wants to bring Ghost out of hiding so he can kill Ghost. Okay? And the 4th reason how Mahoney could bring Ghost out of hiding is for him to find out that Tommy is doing business with Mahoney. Because Ghost is not above saving Tommy or Tariq for the same reasons. He's just not above it. You know, when Mecca brought up Mahoney, you have to understand that the writers have a plan for Mahoney. The writers have a plan for Mahoney, And it's a reason why he was mentioned in the first place. Mahoney seems to be this big bad that once he comes out, if Mecca came out, first of all, because if Mecca came out and he was able to know who Ghost is, and his life in Power Book 2 Ghost was affected by things that Ghost did in the past, and Mecca is an op of Mahoney, and Mecca's the one who mentioned Mahoney, then Mahoney will be someone who not only can connect Power Book 2 Ghost to OG Power, but also through Tommy could be someone who has an impact in Power Book 4 Force. And we will realize that Mahoney is somebody with power in which the likes we've never seen. Mahoney is going to be someone who has an influence in American politics, foreign affairs, okay? Someone who has an influence in dealings with international cartels, and possibly somebody who, for all we know, has connections to Effie. The implications of who Mahoney is going to have a major impact on every spinoff except for Raising Kanan. Power Book 2 Ghost Season 4 Theory and Prediction. Now let's talk about Stephen Ott. Yesterday, somebody mentioned in the comment section, hey, do a video on Steve Ott being Mahoney. And at first I ignored it, but then I slept on it. And currently, I just woke up, breath still stinking and yawning, right? But I'm that serious about my content. And I thought about it. I'm like, what if Steve Ott was Mahoney? Is there any evidence that we could use to possibly have an argument for Stephen Ott being Mahoney? And then I thought, I'm like, it's very possible that he could be. Now, the reason why we're going to have this theory is because everybody knows, if you've been watching Power since its inception, you know that any minor character, any small character whose face you see in earlier seasons could always end up becoming major players or people who have a big impact on the plot going forward. Now, I want to encourage y'all to go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if it's your first time here. Also, after this video, feel free to check out all the other playlists that I have on my channel, talking about a whole different variety of topics. But if you're here for the power theories, let's get to it right now, okay? So, when it comes to Mahoney, right? Mahoney is someone who was mentioned only once in Season 2 of Power Book 2 Ghost, where Mecca mentions Mahoney, and he basically says that Mahoney is his biggest, most dangerous op. Now, we do not see Mahoney ever again. I mean, first of all, we never see Mahoney, but we don't hear a mention of Mahoney ever again, right? Even Noma doesn't mention Mahoney. Now, here's the thing, right? When I made a video previously where I was discussing how RSJ could be Mahoney, I remember someone in the comment section, they said, hey, that's possibly just an Easter egg because there's a new showrunner who goes by the name of Mahoney, who's the showrunner of Power Book 2 Ghost now. It's not the chick. So I basically fell back from the Mahoney content after that because I'm like, that could be true. But now, being that this guy made this presentation to me, this guy presented me with this theory yesterday, I got to thinking, right? So here's the thing. Right? Mahoney will have to be someone who's very powerful, has a lot of pull, and probably his government name is not going to be Mahoney. Now, if someone who was on a way lower level, like James St. Patrick, if his name was Ghost, and that was his street name, and everyone knew him as James St. Patrick, and just like real life, you know, when you dealing with levels of drug dealing and you doing illegal activities, you're not going to want your real name attached to it. So we first have to assume that Mahoney is not the government name of whatever character would end up being Mahoney. That's the first thing. The second thing is this, right? We all know in real life, now this is going to be a little bit racy what I'm going to say, based on whatever viewers and listeners of a particular group may be watching and listening to this video. So I want to give a disclaimer by saying this is going to be racy. But we all know that at the highest levels of drug dealing in real life, and as some Jamaicans would say, in a real life, we know that at the highest levels, the people who got the most product, the people who are making the most rules, they are not only of the Caucasian descent, but a lot of them are government officials. Now, as I say this, now we can begin to piece the skeleton of this theory that is Stephen Ott possibly being Mahoney, right? So that's already ammo that we have going in that direction. Now, if Mahoney is alive, it's very, very possible that he's been doing his background research. I mean that he already did his background research on Mecca. He already knows who Noma is, right? By the way, if Mahoney is not Stephen Ott, there's also the possibility of Stephen Ott maybe being Noma's supplier. We don't know who Noma's supplier is. It has not been confirmed whether Noma is the top dog, but I will say it this way. She's black. There are no black people at the very top of the national drug trade. Let's just be real about this. But like I was going to say, we all know in season 2 of Power Book 2 Ghosts, when Monet and Mecca were in the basketball court and Mecca started getting shot at. Assumingly so, that was Mahoney. Now, there was no confirmation to show that Mecca set up that shooting. And had he done that, it's very dangerous. You really run the risk of not only him or Monet getting shot, but innocent bystanders, and it happened in broad daylight. I think if he was to arrange a shootout to make himself look a certain type of way in Monet's eyes, it would at least be at nighttime, when he got to deal with less blowback, right? So assumingly so, Mahoney was on Mecca's bumper sticker, and he tried to take Mecca out in broad daylight. That's how much he got a problem with Mecca, right? And underneath all of that, we could have had severe wars. We assumingly had severe wars going on between Noma and Mecca and whoever Mahoney's group is. Now, being that we know that at the highest levels of drug trade, the very highest levels of drug trade, they're usually Caucasian men and also government officials, right? You can't just be a Caucasian man. You got to be somebody that works for the government. We all know about this stuff. We all know in real life that this is what goes down. So it becomes less and less far-fetched to speculate like, hey, maybe Stephen Ott, maybe he could be Mahoney or some kind of other major player within the drug business, right? Now, they didn't have to bring Stephen Ott into the first season. And I don't even think we've seen him past the first episode or 2 of Ghost, right? When it first started. They didn't have to bring him in there. They could have brought any character in there. So with them having him talk to Tariq and say, hey, listen, we got to make your father look good, this, that, and the third, right? They could have had anyone else from the Democratic Party come, and any one of those people could have ended up being Mahoney as well. But they had Stephen Ott come. So now, him having his face there means that he was not only a part of OG Power, but now he is a part of Power Book 2 Ghosts. Now here's the thing, right? Stephen Ott, he took a liking to Ghost. So this goes into the theories of whether Ghost is alive or not. Everything becomes intertwined now. So now, for those of you who believe that Ghost is still alive, now we have a possible scenario of maybe Stephen Ott was taking Ghost under the wing and showing Ghost how you can maneuver between this, and that, or you could transition from doing drugs to doing that, right? But maybe, what if Stephen Ott was just of the Democratic Party? He is Mahoney moving drugs, and maybe Ghost didn't know that. So maybe Stephen Ott helps Ghost disappear, and somehow, some way, Stephen Ott reveals himself as Mahoney, and then finds a reason to keep Tariq under his thumb, selling drugs for the government. So now Tariq becomes this major player for the government, but also he's in a position where there's really no way out. Who would be the person that could possibly help him get out of this bond, this unholy matrimony with Stephen Ott / Mahoney / the Democratic Party? Ghost. So now, if you believe Ghost is alive, now we have a reason to bring Ghost back in. He got to save his son now. He didn't know the Democratic Party was giving it up like that, even though he shouldn't have trusted him too much anyway. And also, right? Also, we got Black Dahlia. This is how Black Dahlia could rope into Stephen Ott and Mahoney and bring it full circle between book 2 and book 4, right? Dahlia is a thing already. How did Dahlia get made? By a scientist. Where did the scientist create Dahlia? In a lab. Now, when we're talking about stuff like crystal meth, crack, ecstasy, all these other kinds of drugs, of course not all drugs are made in labs, but when you think about, Oxycontin and all these other drugs, right? Where are they made? No, first, who makes them? Scientists. Secondly, how are they made? In, as Dexter would say, laboratories. Now, if Dahlia was supposed to be for something else, for a whole nother purpose, but ends up becoming a drug, that's just the way other drugs get made. The only people who could get those drugs on the streets would be government officials, people who work for the government. Other than that, these scientists who make these drugs, they don't have connections to the street. They show on TV, hey man, crack got made by some random, gang members in the house? Come on now, stop it. Transforming cocaine into crack, that's science. Science takes place in a laboratory. These dudes in the street, they didn't go to school and graduate science. They don't know science. So let's be real. Crack was made in a laboratory. You know what I'm saying? Just like Black Dahlia. Just like all these other drugs. So that means from Black Dahlia's inception, it had to have made its way to the street. It had to have made its way to the street through government officials. Am I reaching? If I'm reaching right now, go in the comment section. Tell me I'm reaching. Tell me I'm doing too much. But I don't think I'm doing too much. So now, if it takes government officials to get these major drugs into these communities, right? Or into the streets, anyway, they got there through government officials. Now, what if Stephen Ott was one of the first people who worked for the government who was given this assignment, and that's, hey, the government has a new avenue of making money, and that's Black Dahlia. Y'all know what we did with heroin. Y'all know what we did with weed. Y'all know what we did with cocaine and crack. Now it's time to do it for Black Dahlia. What's not to say? What's not to say? I know we have this whole other story of we only got one chemist that knows how to do it. They could easily write in that some other chemist figured out how to break it down. Some dude or some chick who's smarter than the short-haired chick that we already know. Because chances are she's going to die in season 2 anyway. I didn't see her in the trailer at all. So she's probably dead, right? And all I'm saying is, when you think about it, a lot of reasoning could go behind Stephen Ott possibly being Mahoney.